Yeah, so then Tanaji Yangazo, did you try Mandra Chedala? And young Mananga, the Yambesim Tamji. And Top Chalana me by Yantawa. Zobisanji, Umberambuchi Tobi Chedala. Susatanman. Da Chanjuki Semda, Yanta Betawa, Julaji, Layata, and Susuki. Come, Deshi Nimbo, Lava Inanda, Jipa Kunduzambo Lava Inanda, some Chamo, Nilu Chimachi, Jembar Lava Inanda, de Mundunjura, Chedala, Tengaso, Shivata, Devi Tap, Chedala, and Nasa drilling, Ta Chudin Suya, Gurana, Guru number Tava. Set it up.
Yes. So in order to, in the interest of using our time well, please form a pure intention in the following way. For the sake of all sentient beings, equal to the vast reaches of space that have been our precious parents, then in order to that all these sentient beings may realize the true nature of their own mind. We could call it the original protector, the level of Samantabhadra. We could call it the true underlying element in their own being, the Sugatagarbha, the awakened essence or Buddha nature that pervades their minds. We could also call it the extremely subtle dimension of their mind, just as it is. So whatever we call it, please form the intention that in order to bring all of these countless sentient beings equal to the vast reaches of space to the state of complete and perfect awakening through realizing their own true nature, we will engage in this discussion, we will engage in this dialogue and share. So please form that totally pure motivation. And we're going to recite the classic refuge and bodhicitta prayer 3 times.
Sanji Choda. Soji Chonala, Chanju Partani Japsche Layandi, and Sanji Kunju, Chukunju, Kindu Kunju.
So the first line of this prayer, in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment is attained, is a reference to the 3 jewels of the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha.
Tale Tamboi Wandea, Gomi Rimba, Jay Rimba Nea, Chevaina, and Tambo, Kindu Kunju, und so Mareta, and Maso Kajurata. Masogi Jula, and Tanzi Maripada, Rang Jinzi, Niden, Meva, Chene, Tamidobi, Shirabji, Cho Chene, and Chanjuki Semde, Musu, Sosuki Jula, Karzorada, Karse, Chanju Semji, Cho Chene, and Chotamji, Nilu, Bongbani, Tana Doyundi, and Gendukunjos, Sungadua, the Gendukunjula, the Inzimini, was a Chawachi Boyata, and Chiba Gesho Mares.
Nasa. Nasa. So, for those amongst us who might be newer to the Buddhist tradition, then the third jewel that's mentioned here, Sangha, or the community, then we can understand this as anything that helps us realize wisdom and compassion. So in other words, bodhicitta, for example, as the altruistic intention that aims towards awakening. With that as our helper, we can realize the true underlying nature of phenomena, which is emptiness. And so that, I think, is a good way to relate to the third jewel of the Sangha, that which helps us realize that true nature. So it's not about that it has to be, a monk or a nun or something like that.
저 탐제기 의니스 니루데 원데 주용데 대야 잔주기 심 찌짐이 돈 니원데 주용데 아니 견디 근조체 대양 타르바 랑 타르바 토바 마체 되니 타입이 심전 탐제라 타르바 톰되기 로다 넘바 지 톱나 지 마루자 마임바 다기 토바 차지 되네 잔주 첨보 무엇이 토네 아니 데 수술라 오늘도 주는 심전 탐지 잔주 첨보 라운라 다기 아니 전도니르 다기 거기 다기 자와치 토바 지기 제네 듬반닌데기 잔주기 심 가르쳐로다 제가 맞을 때 원도 주도 아니 산지 군주 멜로비 겐데 군주 송나기도
라스나.
내 잠도 맛에 저 탐지 되네 세미 랑지 어세비 띵네 지 시샤직 세용데 코르바 아니 탁바 냠바 쳔보 아니 근소 아니 데비탑 대화 쳔보 대인자네 딘리에 자 쳔보지기 돼 아니 오늘도 랑게 줄라 빵도지 연대 타르 진영도 한 산지 군주 대양 무엇이다 자화지용한테 주군주 라야 돼 인도 땡가서 시샤 탐지네 말루바 식바 쳔바 시샤 탐지기 루바메비 텐드리기 똑초 넘버 2비 남둥기 주주 참아 되니 지다 만들베 저거래다 대원도 줄때와 되니 근속 라위안당 전담발라야당 대창말로와 그 가리주로 덴데 뚜뚜비 안에 주툰비 체마 샤주여봐 주툰비 안에 동이 쳐봐 주툰비 안에 대화하기 쳐봐 대창말로와 넘바 창마 코르베 닐로와 쳔바 타르바당 탐지 쳔베 연된 데네 쳔바 자왈라나메바 님발라나메바 덴데기 영수 조바기 강다라 지 가르죠다 순주 탁바 쳔보스 덴데기에다 자친구들이 리시제도 대 제인자네 산진 라야데 강다라 준그설 연된 끈다데 덴데비지 간사지 주주도 엔 산지군주 세송아 인상 마수탄다 아니지 다 균이 직 연대이 직 지주디 참말로 루르바 세체이 니술라 심진이 돌아 참대바 인상 되는 거죠 심이랑이 요새바테 또 송아이나 되네 쩐근된다 가르쳐로다 쩐 용수조가 셀바다 연대 근데 된바 rangin gun dene pembang baji ta drup tobyaji chawandi mazola che matobada che marongwada kesha remidowa mazol lam digi tingla yubaina dene shirab kase juyo bata 닝지 kase ne compared to donji chaje yoba inza 아니 디 kunjo sumji 지 가르주다 남바이나다 kunjo sumla에 디 가르지 인바 하고가 제바이나 배워서리
Asana. So this bodhicitta, this altruistic intention aimed at awakening ourselves for the benefit of others. Then what can come of this? Liberation or freedom. Liberation or freedom, not just for ourselves alone, but for limitless sentient beings. The perspective that how wonderful would it be if limitless sentient beings could experience freedom and liberation. Not only how wonderful would it be, but I will make it happen. I'm going to do something to make it happen. I'm going to do whatever I can to make it happen. I want to establish all these beings on the great path, the great wide open path to liberation. I want to teach them the path, establish them on the path, guide them along the path. I want to take interest in this. I want to make effort towards this. This is approaching this attitude of bodhicitta. So not only give rise to bodhicitta, but follow through with the action of bodhicitta also. And so that brings us then closer to the first two jewels in the three jewels, the so-called jewel of the Buddha and the jewel of the Dharma. So not only just knowing what these are, but more deeply searching for their underlying meaning. Which brings us to the actual nature of the mind itself. The nature of the mind itself is luminous. The nature of the mind itself is luminosity, clear light. Through realizing that, all objects of knowledge, the entirety of what we experience as samsaric perception or samsaric phenomena, is experienced as great purity and great equality. Everything that appears to us as relative perception or relative appearances can be turned into great bliss through the appropriate methods. This is a very precious meaning. And so, for a being who realizes all of that, who actually manifests all of that, who has all the qualities of ridding their being of what needs to be removed and developing all the qualities that can be developed, such a being is what is meant by the jewel of the Buddha. And so, how to attain that state, how to approach that level, is the domain of the jewel of the Dharma. The jewel of the Dharma teaches us and is based on the unlimited wisdom knowing of all fields of knowledge, everything that can possibly be known. It is also involved in seeing that everything that could possibly appear or be known is the unfailing play of interdependence. This is not separate from, it's grounded in perfect logic and reasoning. And the truth of that, the true underlying meaning of that can be made evident. It can be manifested or rendered evident. So, in brief, what we call the relative truth, what we call the ultimate truth, all of it manifests, appears through the unfailing principle of dependent origination or interdependence. In that manner, when causes and conditions are disharmonious, suffering results. When causes and conditions are harmoniously gathered, well-being, happiness, and bliss results. So this is the truth. And for all beings who reside in the experience of confusion, which we also call samsara, the wish to lead them, to guide them, all without exception, to a state of complete freedom and complete omniscience. This is, the domain of what we call unsurpassable love and unsurpassable power or capacity. And so, one who is possessed of that unsurpassable love, unsurpassable capacity, and unsurpassable omniscient knowing, who has achieved what is called the great spontaneously present purity, that is a being who we call a Buddha. A being, an individual who possesses all qualities that can be developed. That is the meaning of the jewel of the Buddha. And so, if we think of our own experience in comparison with that, the domain of our own experience, the limits of our own fields of knowledge, it's very small. It's always limited. And our experiences are all temporary. And that is why we are sentient beings. And seeing the state that we're in clearly, understanding the limitations we have, understanding the faults that we have, then we can aspire and understand the potential to bring immense benefit to ourselves and also immense benefit to other beings. So this isn't about getting down on ourselves and thinking, worrying what we can do or cannot do, focusing on our limitations, but rather appreciating that through following this path, through opening our wisdom or insight from within, through opening our compassion from within, that we can achieve this state. So I think that it's good, in brief, to understand a little bit about the jewel of the Buddha and the jewel of the Dharma.
Yang dinde ye sanje jomden de seladu, ji natsuji kajuta. Jidang gen dorzi juba ina yang domba la chulu la nichu yi yang tunyong asibares. Dinde mares. Dinde ye shirap pyudu chunga dang, njingje pyudu chunga ge nimba zungre la tene nampyungi ngazo lada karzoro zuk sharwa zamzigi nichu res zuk tesong zang yang ngazo temba nichu kesha chik sheong na yang chulugi nichu kani yang zik jusan rog zik chadarwa di mares sanji jomden di zoe di chulugi yo mare Kelen maybe dumba. Kunla chamse dumba. Kunla tumbi dumba. Kelen kaya yomare. Tawa kelen chile yomare. Tingazo godo. Semi rangi nilu tangma. Zimba yi jing yomare. Jingwale chur. Jingwale chur sane. Kelen chiayi. Dedan dezane. Tatu ki yomare. Tatu tsangaloa. Ane. Tinjungi te konani resilandere. Tinjungi konani indi konani kala. Teni jungwa tamjelo konani inzane. Teni karijurada. Chö tamji tinjung maimba yomarwa. Teni jungdewa kangina dini de tongmani rangji imba shi. Tinjung tutup. 이게 최 니츠 인장 따위 랑지라 켈렌다 쳐봐 딱타 마임바 치송와 동바 동장아 마임바 디잉알라 남드인 세마 마시빈 잔제 심젠 탐지 꾼라 참바 꾼라 제바 꾼다 튠바 데리게 줘봐 자침부디 ngachola medu meru redoa chö ke lemane kechamedu ngachogi chorba dewala gugu chembuzri dewa bashi chöba dewa bashi ni thani dendizi chungwaina ngacho goya redoa
narela asuna. So when we speak about the Buddha or a Buddha, generally speaking, then we might think that it's like a particular teacher in the one context of a particular religious or spiritual tradition. It's possible that we would think like that normally, but actually it's not like that. This refers rather, the Buddha refers rather to the opening of exceptional wisdom and insight, the opening of exceptional compassion. And through the combination of that insight and compassion, power and capacity that results from that, that always can appear in unlimited forms. So that's the real meaning of a Buddha. It's not like one particular teacher in one particular religious tradition. We shouldn't understand it that way. So actually, the Buddha has no spiritual tradition. The Buddha has is not restricted or confined to any religious system or spiritual tradition. The Buddha makes no assertions. The Buddha has no point of view. The Buddha's point of view is beyond all points of view. And so the teacher, I suppose, but he has no view. His view is beyond all views, all points of reference or positions. The Buddha's mind, it's precisely the binding in the mind. It's like this, it's like that, it's not like this, it's not like that. All of those bind us in our mind. And so all of those bindings have been totally freed. And so, free of all of that, a Buddha makes no claims and is not bound by any views whatsoever. The Buddha has realized dependent origination. Dependent origination is also a description of suchness, the way reality actually is. Dependent origination is a description of suchness. Suchness reveals dependent origination. And so there's no phenomena that could possibly exist that exists in any other way than through dependent origination or interdependence. And so therefore, one who has tremendous love for all living beings, one who is in total harmony with all living beings, one whose conduct is in total harmony and expresses pure love for all living beings, and an experience that is only happiness, only bliss and happiness. So we need that. This isn't a question of belonging to one religious system or one spiritual tradition exclusively. It's not like that. It's something beyond that. And so everything being dependently originated, everything being in a matrix of dependence, contingent on other things, then he doesn't accept or assert any view. His view transcends the belief in permanence. Something exists permanently. The Buddha's view also transcends a nihilistic view, believing in nothing at all, believing in an absence, a complete lack, or some kind of nothingness. His view totally transcends that as well. And so, don't we need this kind of happiness? Don't we need something that surpasses any tradition?
Telani, Japsudongi Layata, Gajenchi Layata, and the Kilichi Layata, Ichichi Layadi, Tanda Pasamdana, Simba Sambu, Simba Chambu, Sowa Dewa, Rangjin Gunla Sowa Dewa, Chinijila, Ichichi Lana, Gobachum Zendua, Teayang Tsimewa, Teche Maimba, to the number Gundula, and Soba Dewa, Bajik to be Nimbata Demba. Gula, Gauchia Zilla, and Della Gajinchi, Della Tebachi, Della Japsudogi, Kanda Dikinichi, Lady, Matsu, Susu, Chamburidua. When is it?
So, in this context of prayer, of what we call going for refuge, seeking protection or going for refuge, then if we feel, inspired by these ideas, if we feel delighted by these ideas, if we feel like that we accept something or we trust something, it should be grounded in reason. We should understand the reasons for it. And, appreciating wholesome mind states, appreciating qualities like honesty, and trusting in the happiness of oneself, trusting in the happiness of others, wishing for that, trusting in that. That kind of attitude is not limited. It's a limitless attitude. And believing in the power and capacity to make ourselves happy and to make others happy as well. We're believing in that. So if we can say, I trust in the potential of myself to be happy. I trust in the potential of others to be happy. I trust in that. I take refuge in that, we could say. I accept that. So if we feel that way, it should be, it's an honest frame of mind, and it's grounded in reality.
Teayang Simjan Tamjila Robachi, Gangin Siltapchi, Senjen la no ranga din chuderi rangi nangmi din chuderi chogo chomo chuderi senjen tamje la la ani pindo yoya chedola dewa je toya chedola ani nga di shirap pyedo chungwa niji pyedo chungwa laya di sanje kilenchin japsu dongi laya di ya semba di gen chenbo zangbu ziredo wa ja chenbo redo wa deyang changbu redo wa
Also, it is an attitude that involves wishing to be of help and service to all other beings, thinking of them as the way we care for our own families. We take care of our own families, don't we? We care for our partners, we care for our families, extending that kind of care to all beings, wishing to truly benefit them. That is based in exceptional wisdom and exceptional compassion. And so to feel that way, to orient that way when we take refuge is to, in a sense, it's a great responsibility we're taking when we orient that way towards all beings. It's a great responsibility. It's a very wholesome mind state. It's a very vast attitude, and it's also very honest.
deyang mazo yang tabi chemaredo chemarikpa mungde medo.
This is also based in proper reasoning. This is actually based in logic. It is not a question of blind faith.
대성자 아니 산지 추스마 차rsum 대아.
So, with all of that in mind, permit me to say the refuge prayer 3 times.
전다 시위 토니 되나 아니 배 수수기 시럽 카세야다 진질라야다 그봐 자친 보유리.
So to recite such a prayer while actually understanding the meaning of the prayer becomes then a cause for our own insight and love to flourish and to receive blessings as well.
Sanjin chedan soje chonala Shangju pardo tane jasuji Dagi jeso jibe sonanji Drola genjir sanjen drubarisho Sanjin chedan soji chonala Chanju pardo dane jasuji Dagi jeso jibe sonanji Drola genjir sanjin drubarisho. 강에 도전이 저변다와 다녀 보면제 담변전에 고담들아 저진로 돈이 예송돈 주변란지 제전에 된정건 처만 병못 된전전 소원대서 다 추진절로 만나가 다녀 배심제 담제 동에 전에 단절에 도배 산지 공부를 보이제 도배체 담배 주선본들 냥스로 원쇼 라서 단 디네 산지 추스마지 디시 빼다 짜치 뭐 뭐지 알레자 좋아 다양 그래서 지당이 가는 거야.
So actually, the explanations that could be given for this refuge prayer are really quite astounding and very, very vast. But I'll just stop there. I think that was a nice, brief introduction.
시럽 표도 좋은, 인지 표도 좋은데, 땡네 안에 랑지 군족 댐바, 된담 댐바세 댐바니 남자 라야 디간도.
So, the key point here is the union of exceptional love and exceptional insight, connected to the two truths, the relative way things appear and the ultimate way things actually are.
딱 군족 댐바 라야 디 나서다. 강 코리나라 나저기 자와지대가 들어와. 톤대시대. 톤대야 돼.
So the relative truth is our day-to-day experience. It's the ordinary appearances, perceptions, and experiences we have in our life day to day, which we call also samsara.
대상말로 강 여대와 샤대와.
Everything that is real to us, everything that appears to us.
맞아 다리 라와나지 중앙아이 랑지.
So, like we were speaking about this morning, the nature of the four elements.
중앙아이 랑당리 샤대비.
This self-display, the endless natural display of the five basic elemental forces.
Zo, tra, ti, ro, rekcha.
So, visible forms that we perceive, sounds that we hear, smells we can experience, tastes, and the physical experience of touch, of texture.
대롱 쥐니게 nga 나야 지 여러와 니 풍부.
And then the experiencer, who we call me, and this body, this aggregate, this experiencer.
니 쳐봐, 니 대와.
My feelings,
니 동이.
my body, my happiness, my suffering.
정말로 꾼좀봐. 그래도와. 꾼접지. 단이 다연죠.
And all of that, we use this term, kunzop in Tibetan, which we could say the relative truth, relative appearances.
다디 꾼접 디나라 맞아. 시윤직 차상와 여러와.
And then within the relative truth or relative appearances, there's so many different fields of knowledge.
로존지 용수조와.
All of the different types of study and knowledge.
미치지기 남자.
The whole life of how a life unfolds.
대와.
Our happiness.
다다와.
Oh, sorry, the past, the present,
마음바.
the future.
다 뒤숨이기. 배치지 가르쳐다. 요랑 친구 쉬지도와.
All of the incredible things that occur in the three times.
단 딜라 따당 민라 토네.
And so there's various ways to view all of this.
되니 딕빙고 라야다 개빙고 라야데 한 딜라 따당다 냥당다 초르바 냥당다 초바이 따당다 아니 딜라 원진 제당다 안디 페주 당당기 니추기 토네 아니 대두기 아니 가지고 다주 마무치 제 마무치 드리브 마무치 차용거도.
And so through, for example, identifying what is virtuous or beneficial, and the essence of that, what is non-virtuous or harmful, and understanding how that functions, what that is, what it does, what are the causes and conditions of that, what are the results of that, what is the whole situation around virtue or bringing benefit or non-virtue and creating harm, and how that functions, then we can understand how happiness and suffering arise, and the causes, the conditions, and the results.
다 디나나 셈제 라야기 양 가르주고 양지 초르바촌이 대뚝 요아 제니기 양 셈다 덴바 셈암 셰바암 릭바암 초르바암 암 세나 다 가리따바이나.
And then, within that whole situation, we have living beings, sentient beings. Living beings have experience, they have feelings, they have direct felt experience. They have pleasant experiences of well-being. They have painful experiences of suffering. And all of these are constantly moving and shifting. And that situation is governed by what we call a mind. It's experienced by a mind. We could call that a mind. We could call it cognition or cognizance. We could call it awareness. We could call it felt sense. These are all just labels.
다 셈된 데라양 당가저 추이 남자나네 로와 리축 소라티리 라기로와
그래라.
로와 리축 라기로와.
That's right. So then, when we think about that which has a mind, a living being or a sentient being that has a mind, if we were to use a classic dharmic presentation, this would be talking about 6 different classes of sentient beings.
당가저 삼노 추징네 삼다나 데스디 줌저로 요레스.
From one side, we could think of this as just like a story.
시럽 표주 땅나 용시바지레스.
But if we use our insight, then we can see how this is also something that is possible.
통시바레 용시바레.
Possible to see, possible to occur.
시럽디 표주마다 있나?
But if we don't use our own insight,
줌저로 저바레.
then we just say, it's just a story.
켈레 카고레. 켈레야 카고레.
And it would be difficult to accept.
제가 니와 라야디 아니 베 가리주고로다 레데 아니 셰당조 주르베기 레 독자 전부 싸워나 니와지 좀제지시거와.
So, for example, the experience that we call the experience of the hell beings, the main cause for having that experience is very intense anger and hatred. Very, very negative, harsh mind states are the principal cause for having the experience we call a hell being's experience or the hell realm.
데니 스스 롱주 여바이나 야 군조라 퓨마도 마 셈진라 짐바 땅마도 배주 치마데네 아니 베 셈나 쳔보 어진 자마누와 랑기 낭밀라 아니 자와치 마누바진 셈나 쳔보 어세 롱주 쳔보 사연주 디 셰바 디 데브디 아니 예다라 제기레 저우실라기로와.
And if we think about our possessions, what we own, what we possess, then if we are unable to even think about sharing it with others, if we're unable to actually, offer it, share it, but rather become very tightly bound in stinginess and tight grasping, just for ourselves, not even really wanting to share it with our own family, just keeping it so tight and locked into that. It is said that that kind of cause results in the experience of a hungry ghost, as it is taught.
아니 미기 주bun기 수름 이제 레자 전부 상류 미제그레스 랑로와 디 당마데라 아니 개와 선노마다 디바 선노마다 아니 롱마데 제네 디묵랑 롱마데 칼라 아니 미제 페주다야 디에 드비디 튼조 제그레 시고로와
Lasana. And then it is said that if the mind of a being does not particularly take interest or generate virtuous mind states, nor does it take much interest or generate very non-virtuous mind states, but mostly stays in a neutral, undifferentiated state of kind of confusion or delusion and lives its life in that, then the main result of that is to be reborn in an animal form.
아니 미기 주bun기 수름 송네 되니 제 주마시 장보 덴바 되니 다와 양다 셈바 장보 장보 꼬마마 마그바 강다 장대지 맞아 자컵이 침나라이나 다 록다들이마도 침다 튠비 차와 디 지용도 아니 가지고로다 미 제그레 시고로와 미기 주bun기 수름 남바다 봐 송아이나 아니 미 남주도 덴바 제바 태소 매 시고로와
And then if we do hold a kind of ethical standard of ethical integrity, some basic morality of trying to avoid harmful and non-virtuous actions, then it is said that we can experience the human realm, or human birth, so to speak. And this is based on, principles like trying not to lie, trying to be honest, trying to avoid deceiving people, try to avoid stealing from people, avoiding killing, and so on. And so, the basic, we could say, many of the basic laws in our society, not in every case, some of the laws are based on wrong views, but apart from those, fundamental laws, principles that govern wholesome conduct, if we keep those, if we live in the effort of keeping those, then it is said that we can experience a human experience or human birth. So it is said in the teachings, if we do that successfully, for sure, we will continue to get a human experience.
Then, 다지 장자다 띵진랑라 심제지도 띵진랑가라 아니지 초와 덴데라 튼드니에 hinga 네 아니 라제리 시고로와.
And if we cultivate samadhi, like a meditative concentration, a one-pointed state of absorption, which is filled with bliss, and we're super into that bliss, very, very interested in that bliss, cultivate that. It is said that the result of that is to experience the God realm.
Then, 아니 낙심다 느심 차도 댄심이 미세 차도 댄심 짠짠 chen 미세 제대한 디게네 레게 아니 라마일 제그레스 탑수시 동에 실라는 덴드식 송데 거와.
And then also if we spend our lives mainly cultivating jealousy, competitiveness, covetousness in our mind, develop strong karmic imprints based on those mind states. It is said that we will experience what is called the demigod realm, the demigod experience, which is an experience characterized by fighting and quarreling.
강다 디즈데 톱차 대화 가즈저 여바 이나 네갑지다 주드베 랑지 양자르 동네베 랑지 지 차디기도
In any case, in terms of what we can get in any of these experiences, in terms of the good side of it, the bliss or the happiness, the well-being, the pleasure, then all of it is totally temporary and changeable. It can change. It will change at any moment.
강다 디즈 가이나 이 매나메 역시
In any case, whether you think these things exist or don't exist or whatever you think about them, just throw it all away. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
가서 통야데 무슨 통야디 로아레 투기노네 닌데레스
All we can actually directly see in the 6 classes of beings are 2 of them.
가서 레준제 라야다 지양암치 유메 라야다 레준제 유메 라야다 데니지 강다 셈다 지 레바 로하 유메 라야다 강다라 삼도 양저지 땅에데 뺏기셔 버리셨어
So whatever we might believe or think about, karmic cause and effect, the principle of karma, whether it exists or not. Whatever we might think about the continuity of consciousness through lifetime after lifetime, whether that exists or not. Whatever opinion we have about the brain and the mind, are they the same or are they not the same? Whatever we think, I think it's important to give it further thought.
당부되라 가서 딱지 지용뒤 최 탐지 땡제 임바데 타취야즈레스
당부 탁치체드
땡제 임바데 타취야즈레스
So first of all, when we first start really examining the world, how it works, I think we can resolve that everything is interdependent.
같이 다 맞춰나 가르쳐 오는 것을 땜바 두바지 켈리고 오라스
If we don't examine it, however, then what are we left with? We believe that everything is concrete and solid, just as it appears. So, in the Tibetan, the term tendrel, which we could translate as interdependence or dependent origination, has 2 aspects, dependent and origination.
lana temba tigarala rawandu meba jujin yen la ralemba kan yobati kan zimbe chu yoba zinye lo yoba dini kan yobati jujin yen la tene chungdeba zimbade ngaso ngoshiade pekishim brendos
So the first part of this, dependent origination or dependent arising, is dependency, contingency. So to say something is dependent or contingent means that it has no freedom from its own side. It's not an independent existing thing. It totally depends on other causes and conditions to appear. And so whether we're talking about the phenomena, the objects that we cling to and perceive and apprehend, whether we are talking about this mind that apprehends them, everything, anything, all depends on other causes and conditions to appear. And to recognize that is very, very important.
Then also semnala 강 된데 sem이 강 조조 라야디 말아봤어.
It's made by the mind.
sem이 강 조조 강 조조 sem이 되바나지 말해.
Mare. So it's, whatever that it's not that these things are made up by the mind. It is not that the mind can just get what it wants.
제상 땡제기 안에 서로 동행지기 주제이나 주디 튠바스 안에 동행지대요. 주여대 바스. 주 매바 잼 매바 강야 매바지 동행지 동행지 용식 말이 동행기 서로의 용식 말봐.
So basically, when we speak about dependent origination, that things arise dependently, contingently. Let's take, for example, the direct experience of pain or suffering. It is only when the appropriate causes and conditions come together that suffering occurs, that suffering is experienced. It doesn't happen totally randomly for no reason at all. It doesn't just happen without a cause. It doesn't happen without conditions. The suffering and the felt sense of pain or suffering does not arise without its own causes and conditions.
어야, 대 인자네 시럽피도 중앙라야 디게 땡들이 최대 땡들 임바 하고 거기도 와.
So for that reason, exceptional insight sees phenomena that are in fact just dependently arisen, dependently originated, as being dependently originated. It sees what is dependent arising as dependent arising.
가시 가서 시럽 피도 중앙에 배주 땅 맛이 같이 시럽 묘몬진데 배주 땅이 깝라.
So, however, if we do not use that kind of exceptional insight, but rather rely on a type of intelligence that is mixed with our afflictive emotions,
땅 가서 쭉 전부 쉬버직 차고요레스.
then this becomes a huge fault, actually.
안에 죄탐지 근조배 최인데 독립의 정신지 이나.
근접기
최인데 독립의 정신지 이나 한다. 동의 정신지 이나.
So if all the phenomena have the nature of suffering, let's say samsaric phenomena,
지 메다베 정신라 딱벨로 제대야.
So then, for example, we tend to see that which is
메다베 정신라 딱벨로.
We tend to see things that are changing every moment, that are fundamentally impermanent, as being
딱벨로 이제는 차단시야.
lasting and permanent, and then we have tremendous craving and aversion towards them.
매장와라 쌍마지 로신 차단제대야.
And then towards what is sort of unclean and impure, we cling to it as being clean and pure, and then develop also craving and aversion towards that.
동의의 정신라 대환진의 차단으로 제와.
And what is fundamentally suffering, has the nature of suffering, we cling onto it as happiness and develop craving and aversion based on that misperception.
디 참말로와 다음에 벨라 닥도 지네 머리바 라야디게 아니 똑다 넘바제네 아니 가서 자당 제대만도와
All of those are rooted in taking what is fundamentally not a self, a concrete, true identity, and seizing it, holding it, clinging it as if it was a true self, a true concrete identity. So all of that comes from the power of that kind of grasping.
이나 시럽 요르다 가서 디 냠돌라 묘모지 머리바 조 줄들와
We have, prajna, we have our own native intelligence and wisdom, and we use it. But our current intelligence and wisdom is all mixed up with our afflictive emotions.
가서 다샤 숙체와
We have very strong desires.
아니 머리바 딜라 디기 남주다 땡가솔 가려르세나
And then, so under the influence of our not knowing, our own ignorance, what is this? What occurs because of that?
아니 셰당 숙체와
And then we have very strong anger.
셰당디 가르치는 거예요.
Why does this anger come up in us?
강기 착바 짐바지 주진 짐바지를 탐니 셰당한 거예요.
Anger also comes from clinging, holding, being attached to something very tightly.
아니 차도 숙체모 제야.
And the arising of strong jealousy in us.
텔라데네 심 하장 shum로야.
Under the influence of these afflictive emotions, the mind becomes very, very weak.
랑기 아니 낭미 조고 레가체사 지수 코륙나나 아니 차도리 잼베 아니 가져로 따지 20몇 바차니 아니 욕라침 부슈조고로와
Under the influence of jealousy, for example, within our own families, within our own communities, countries, within the larger society that we share, so much trust is broken. We lose trust. So many problems come from strong jealousy.
되네 낙심 메라 셴라베 시방연바 뇌지야 이 차진 삼다야
And then, covetousness, an attitude of coveting what other people possess.
딘디기 릭드저 칸디스 차고리
So how do these things happen? Or how do they arise?
시럽 묘모지 마릭바딜 투어레스
If we really look at how they arise, we will find it comes from our own intelligence mixed with afflictive emotions.
딜로데 출바차도레
That kind of mind, those mind states are confused. They're distorted.
딜로데 주마 차도레스
Those mind states are dishonest and false.
다 마릭바데 칸드즈르라고 그래서 다 칸드즈르 마릭바라고 그래서나
So, how do we? What is it that we call not knowing or ignorance?
최탐지지 뭐니 장부 장샤데 하고 말했어
Ignorance is not knowing actually how things are in a very direct and honest way.
하마고아 강라 수미이시시 남도단 술다 마튠베이 셰바지 남도기 조 델레체즈 차고 그랬어
Not only do we not know what that underlying reality is and this, how things actually are, but on top of not knowing it, we also construct and project all kinds of confused narratives, thoughts, and stories that are incorrect. So we project and construct incorrect concepts and stories as well. That's also part of it.
단딩아 좀 짐발라 진 라이도와 당진 랑진진 라이저라 창만 디칸 용거스.
And from that, we have fixation. We develop grasping and fixation. We fixate on our sense of self. We concretize our sense of self, and then we become self-centered and cherish that sense of self.
침상 마트와 창만 디칸 용거스.
Actually, the hardships in families, the disharmony in families mostly comes from this.
태성장 거지 능추당 니추 딱딱하고 말했어.
And basically, this all comes from not knowing how things appear and how that relates to how things truly are.
단딩아 저기 동행이 짜와. 종쿵.
We could call this also the source of suffering or the root of suffering.
덴디지라 곰지 송아이나?
And so, because we're accustomed to that, we've become so familiar with that.
따와디 친절로 잘했어.
It's like our view or our understanding has become distorted.
시작 참말로 랑진 코랑디 띵중이 바지 하거나.
However, if we're able to understand that the nature underlying all phenomena is dependent origination.
아 마르바디기 띵중 락바리마도 참하고 말했어.
So our current state of ignorance will not really be able to understand subtle interdependence. It will only be able to understand coarse interdependence.
디미나 친지로에 따와 랑로와.
And without understanding interdependence, we call our understanding a distorted understanding.
친지 칸들로 떨어서나 최탐지 땡중 때와 체와 뜨와 잠지 되니 뭐부터 시작되와 찍라 거기 체도 강하면 봐 독도지 수직라 마대와 랑추바 아니 배 독도지 잼바라지 징거리스.
So how is that understanding distorted to not see interdependence? The distortion is that towards what is fundamentally just a mere interdependent appearance, a mere interdependent phenomena that relies on other things, that leans on other things, that is supported, that is contingent on other things to merely appear. We deny that it's contingent. We don't see that it's dependent. We don't see that it relies and leans on so many other things, but rather think it is solid, independent, totally on its own, some lump that doesn't rely on anything. And we concretize that mode of perceiving.
Then dendriye marikpai zimba nangji ani pete temba druba jena madeba chi tsuktuba ze yoba ina juwa meba ze yoba ina then ngasugi lola nu sares.
And then, based on that, we concretize everything. We believe in the true and real solidity of everything we perceive. And so when that occurs, when we become hardened by that, stubborn, rigid, hardened by that habit of concretizing, believing in the true and real substantial existence of everything, then it's like our mind has already been harmed by that.
세상 집밥에 취해진 가지고 가져로 다지 로지 유지 체만지 지야 된 거는 통하면 되었어. 이해하면 되었어.
지금 몇 주, 두천라고, 두치다.
주 독도치.
주.
여바이나 덴바주바지.
Oh.
여나 제나 통고로 니에민도가.
So, if things really were like that, we should be able to find something that is truly solid and cannot be destroyed. But no matter how hard we look, we can never find something that cannot be destroyed, broken down.
제가 당아주 리창말로와 띵유인바지 하거나.
Therefore, I feel if everyone could come to appreciate the principle of interdependence or dependent origination,
마릭바데 메바조발라 직바이시 시라피도 중앙데 표주단 거래.
then they could remove the confusion and the not knowing imprints in the mind, and the wisdom awareness, true, authentic insight and wisdom could arise in their minds.
네 표주 당와이나? 되는 거죠. 따와데 친지 말로 차송아.
And then if they could use that type of wisdom or insight, then their understanding, their awareness and wisdom will be undistorted.
따와 친지 말로 와디. 나초 로라 추 설바이나 마릭발라야디 로브르바지레들.
From the perspective of an undistorted understanding, and then we look back at our own confusion and we see how temporary it is.
식바다 예시 라야디 로브르 말이스.
But Rigpa in Yeshe, pure awareness and timeless wisdom awareness are not temporary.
맞아 단다 초바 때와 되니 초바 동에 만두비 초르바도와 초르바 디지 근데 신도 꼭 줄이지 차슈데 아니 연도만이 탁바츠 뉴몬다 제롱메바 뉴몬다 로하 베 뉴몬데 찜바나지이나 아니 가족이 다 직바 아니 셰바디기 남자디 아니 니만다우지 차들어와서.
And so now we have feelings, we have direct experience of pleasure and pain, happiness and sorrow. But when we examine into the most subtle level of experience, the most subtle level of felt sense, then from the very beginning, the beginningless beginning, it's actually been completely pure, the most subtle level of experience. There are no afflictive emotions at all involved in that level of feeling. And when the clouds of afflictive emotions have been cleared away, then our rigpa, our pure awareness, or our cognizance becomes like the sun.
된리게 시럽디 카체와이나? 되닝아조 대차 셰당 티무 여기 릭 샤중두 아니 쌈디양 쥐바데 로하지 쥐바테기레스 쥐바 시럽디기 때문에 아니 쥐바데야 양 친지 말로와 찬로레스 아니 닝지 퓨드 중앙라기도와 닝지 퓨드 중앙데 가서 쥐발라 라레 시럽 퓨드 중앙데 가서 이게 따와 타두어레
나스나
닝지 퓨드 중앙라데 가서 쥐바 약슈데레
나스나. So then if we can open our prajna, our insight or wisdom from within our mind, then whatever might arise, craving, aversion, anything, then we will not engage in distorted conduct either, because we will have exceptional love and compassion also. Actually, the best form of conduct is itself exceptional love or compassion. Exceptional love and compassion is the highest form of conduct. And exceptional insight, or prajna, is the highest view.
다 닝제 퓨드 중앙라야 돼. 남중 가서 닝제 주부를 매기 통해 이게 아니 심지 데스 동에와 저 들라 닝제 대야지고 랑진 닝제 저여와.
So to talk about exceptional love and compassion, well, of course we have normal compassion. All of us have compassion. When we encounter somebody who's in a tough situation, who's in pain, who's suffering, based on the condition of seeing them in pain, then we might say, that's terrible. Oh, poor guy. Wow, that's so painful. This naturally arises. We say our normal experiences of love and compassion.
되네 심지 땅가서 침상 잘해셔도 닝제도 라르도 와.
잘했으면 침바.
줘봐셔도.
So then, but of course, we're still sentient beings, we're still ordinary beings. So then, even in our own family, as soon as a fight breaks out, all of our compassion's out the window. Somebody has just a slight disagreement with our point of view, and we erupt. And then we use so many different thoughts, go wild. Then our mind is full of all kinds of thoughts, you know. I remember that time when you said that, and you did this, and you said this, and you did that. And they stack up in our mind. It's like a dam bursting. It just goes crazy. And then we cry. And then we shout. And then we go get high and go have a drink. Get furious, slam the door. And we go and drink beer and liquor, and we have no idea what to do, so we just sit there and breathe heavily. And we can't sleep. Turn on this side, turn on that side. He said this, I said that, they said this. What's going to happen? Thinking, worrying about the future. This bad thing's going to happen. I'm going to say this too. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do with all this? And everything just gets so tight, stuck. And then for actually a very tiny little thing, for some little purpose, that we build this huge, make such a big deal out of it.
고 쥐방 녀박할라 친구도.
This is exactly what it means to have our intelligence bound up with afflictive emotions. And with our intelligence mixed with so many afflictive emotions, then our conduct at any time can just turn negative.
나는 남주를 녀박해.
And then we show them a bad expression.
니 뭐 추는.
All of our beauty is out the door.
아 당한다 제여는 다 제도차.
I don't know if you could, whether you believe in demons or not, but you kind of become a demon at that time.
남주 가서 대켈랭 말아. 패제 대두켈레.
Even if normally we don't believe in demons and ghosts, at that time you see that. Maybe I do believe in demons actually.
뱀미시 지나쳐 아니
Terrifying.
탁주 녀박해. 탁주 되는 논주치 뭐.
Yeah, it's like a huge fault in the decisions we make.
안 딘데 갑라 속바 용인지나 할리베 논주치 뭐 차차래.
And then, in those kind of conditions, when you have a group, like an organization or a group, trying to make decisions with that kind of mind state, they make huge mistakes.
안 디갑라 침상기 다 제가 수수기 자 치슈데라 북두로요로.
And then those times also, like in a family, the most valuable thing in a family is love. And that most valuable thing of love in the family is just kind of thrown to the side.
다 가시선 당그래. 다 메시지를 잘해서 배 메시지 빵엠바 코랑 누가 짠냐 통그래. 랑라 답이 미겨 말아. 얘는 답이 미티지. 누가
Some people, they're like, this is terrible way to go through life. The way all these people are behaving, all of them behaving so badly. All they ever do is use their eyes to look out at everyone else. Never once do they look back at themselves.
안 디갑이 쇠바지 제와이나 시라피도 중앙 매나 쇠바디야 주말.
And then at that time, we try to be patient. But without elevated insight, our patience is kind of a lie.
지 축가 나지. 니만지 추라데 추디 쇼링으로.
It's like
추.
it's like blocking water temporarily. And one day it just bursts the dam.
쇠바 시라피도 중앙데 매나 쇠바야고 검토 말해.
If we don't have this kind of special kind of insight, we really don't know how to properly practice patience.
안 시라 고르 피도 중앙 매바 인자니 미 자첨보 그냥 뭐 조식 말해.
Without a elevated kind of insight, we don't know how to establish a very broad, vast, open kind of viewpoint.
아니 미 독자 토나 나쁜 낙장즈를 문제 지기로 와.
If we see somebody as bad, we just see them as all bad, completely bad.
대이나 랑기 따수일이나야 랑기 니호기 아니 깨셔시 아니 드라마라 강더 심데 장부추니요 말이.
So then whether it's our own point of view that we're sticking to, or we're colluding with someone close to us and forming some opinion, in any case it's not honest. It's not grounded in truth.
드니 저기 깔리자야 니만 딱 봐. 내가 busy 라야 돼. 차도 드레심 낙심 느심 록다 차도 디디지갈라. 피나 렌더치 안 들어와.
And then of course every day in our working life too, we get so busy, and our minds are full of competitiveness and covetousness, jealousy, and we just running along with all these mind states.
되니 강에 딱 medyo ba 톡도 바비 동에
and then problems. And then we face problems too of things happening to us that we don't want.
내는 시비 분족 나야 돼.
And then, what we would call all the good things in life, all the wonderful things we can get in life.
개침보다 짜침으로
Of course, these are important. These are important and meaningful,
네버도 거기로 와.
and we need them.
이나야디 네버 템보세요 말에. 땡중으로 와. 참말라 잠링질라 뚜뚜비 차들어 와.
But they're not fundamentally reliable. They're not stable, because all of them, all the good things in the world as well, all the things we crave, are just interdependent appearances. They rely on so many other things. They can change easily at any time, so they're not really reliable.
덴데게 내가 간디지 레바 있는 데야 짜침부체.
So whatever work we're doing, of course, it's important, it's valuable.
타마 내가 돼. 리브라티서와 야고즈 공부시.
But we have to also consider what will be the final result of all of this work.
대송자 시럽 표도 중원다. 인지 표도 중원데 냠들라 다 과야데 키치무리스 시비 푼조 냠들라 강거래 키치지데 시럽 표도 중원 인지 표도 중원데.
So in brief, we need both of these aspects, exceptional love and exceptional insight. We need the good things of the world. We need all the lovely and good things in this world. But together with the good things in the world, we need exceptional love and exceptional insight.
아니 시럽 표도 중원데 가르치기래.
So what is the perspective of exceptional insight?
저 탐지 땡데라와.
All phenomena are just the play of interdependence or dependent origination.
가르비나 용 좋아야래.
Really, anything could happen. Anything is possible.
용세야래.
Anything could occur. It's possible to occur.
쌤이 정신을 삼당나.
And if we think about the nature of this very mind that we have,
난갈라 야타와.
it's like pure, like the sky,
테라 누바 여대바.
possessed with tremendous capacity,
제바 여대바.
full of love.
지 튠바지 단다도와. 테라 튠바지 단다도와.
Is that similar to your current experience?
나저 서로 도와.
Do you have the feeling of that?
나저 서로 도와 여러와. 서로 대화.
We do have happiness though, right?
야. Yes, 서로 대화. 나저를 빠와를 빼 첨부 삼당 그랬어.
We have to think big, speak loud.
첨부 삼는 다나 쥐어봐대. 저거랬어.
If we think big, it can change our behavior.
닌지 표도 중하나야 돼.
That is the domain of excellent love, compassion.
침상나라. 저봐 쇼르나. 지소노. 초바노라. 저봐 쇼르나.
If we fall into fighting and quarreling in a family, if we fall into fighting and quarreling in society,
람사 닌제 그런 집을 요 말이 시당 라야 돼. 서로한테 빼독자요리. 아까 가래 있는 닌제 람상 제바들래 그래.
immediately compassion can come. Oh, they're suffering so much. Understanding the danger, the negativity of falling into hatred and anger, seeing that so clearly and just immediately responding with love and compassion. That's the potential.
님바들라 시당 쭉 가래샤. 잡종 가래샤. 니즈 가래도. 아니 시당 용에 주대 매바 저야 탑 가르치고도. 탑 시럽 같이 있는 탑 제고래.
And then the aspect of skillful, being skillful or skillful means. If there's anger, then we immediately, the aspect of insight examines it. What is this anger? What is the cause of this anger? What is this anger doing? How is it functioning? How can this be cleared away in the best way? And so the methods also are revealed, exceptional methods. When wisdom and love open like that, it's full of methods.
대기 강라 아니 시당 롱양단 대샤지엔디 로디 출바 임바디야 람상 시럽 피도 중앙에 하고 그래 아 닌제 콜로디 출바지 표주당 살수 아 닌제 제서 유머 보여요 고 출바 임비 차네 아까 닌제 출비 자와 집이 동해라 때니 닌지제야 출바 임비 차네 출바 마통위 닌지제야 데니 디 자와 제네 드브 동해 용화들라 닌지제야.
There's many reasons to feel compassion in those situations. So many reasons. Just immediately seeing there's not a, understanding how craving affects the mind, understanding how aversion affects the mind, understanding how much suffering and confusion gives rise to that type of craving and that kind of aversion. When we see that in others, we understand, this is confusion. And then compassion immediately arises. So many sources of the compassion. The compassion can arise seeing suffering. Compassion can arise seeing confusion. And also seeing, by doing this action, their result will also be suffering. And seeing that, then we also give rise to compassion.
딘디 점제 토니데 시럽 피도 중 로당르와.
So it's grounded in reason. It's grounded in logic or reason. That's the aspect of excellent insight.
텔라데니 제와데 착과된 제 말이 제와 피도 중하리.
And also, this kind of love is not actually a form of attachment because it has this exceptional compassion element inside of it.
네? 소수기 미세나라 내가 가르쳐 줘봐 있나.
So in our life, whatever kinds of work that we want to do,
아니 다랑 기본용이야. 랑이 심상 기본용이야. 기본이 된다 제가 있나? 아니 닌지 피도 중 차고요 말에.
if we just in our life, whatever work we're doing, if it's just aimed at our own happiness, just at the happiness within our own family, this will not become exceptional compassion.
아니 내가 가르쳐 내봐 있나. 배주 가르쳐 땅와 있는데 되게 맞아봐도 자와데 되게 맞아봐도라. 아니 제와데 템바. 닌지데 템바. 파르추 세바쇼. 기본용하쇼. 펜토하쇼. 장보용하쇼. 디체들라 네 내가체 되나? 아니 잘라데 마조 받을라. 소수기 소놈데 조금 말에 있나? 소수기 빼 미시기 심데 장보. 아니 닌지 피도 중하게 조직 되는 거로 와.
And then whatever we're involved in, business, any activity, any project, if it has an intention behind it, may this be of use, may this be of benefit, may I really be able to help others, may this be a cause for clearing away their confusion and their suffering, then as long as that project endures, as long as whatever we have isn't totally exhausted, then it will keep generating merit. It will continuously generate merit or virtue. So, and that is because of the exceptional love inside of that.
잠블링은 깜번에 대저이나 뿌타고 얘나 펜토야 배주 야보용이야 뿌타고이 그놈이야데 그 짜라데 뿌타고 차러와 안 깜번에 대야 깨라치 무차고 그래.
If a company in this world develops a really honest and excellent product, they're honest about it, they have a good motivation, they want their product to be beneficial, and it's high quality, then often the company's reputation will spread. They'll have a good reputation because they do a good, honest product.
랑게 자왈레가디 네갑지라 랑라 빼샤 망보다 민지 된다 첨부지나 타둘라 자와디 삼는단데 오 멜레네야 미 수폴라네야 미 셈발라네야 지솔라네야 지린도나 네갑디 르당고리 아니 네하디 지주에 말이 수수 네갑 빼샤다 민디 르당와이나 아니 미 마무지라 접트와 여러와 니키체 여러와.
And then if we think about our own activity, our own work, our own sphere of activity, if it's all oriented towards our own personal gain, how much money can I gain from this? What kind of fame and reputation can I get from this work? But if we examine that work and we see, in the end, this work harms other beings. This work harms other beings' bodies. This work harms other beings' minds. This work has a harmful result for society. Then we really need to clearly see that and actually let go of that work, let go of that project. And it is a temporary letting go of benefit, for our own benefit. We might be letting go, we might be leaving money on the table. We might be leaving our reputation on the table temporarily. But it is much more important to think about how to protect others than to keep holding on to that work.
세상 시럽 다민지 피도 좋아라야디 맞아요. 니레 소하는 빼 미시 키친보. 미시 나라이나 롭존체나 네 롭존체네. 얘나 펜토야. 낭밀라 펜토야. 나랑라 펜토야. 미참을 펜토야 실라네. 미유데 가주 이 침보다 걔는 눈바데 치아요.
In any case, this is all to say that using this kind of insight, this kind of love and compassion, actually using it in our life is of utmost importance. Whatever we're doing in our life, maybe we're students, we're studying something. To go into our studies with a motivation to benefit others, to bring benefit to others, benefit my family, benefit myself, benefit all beings. When our aim, as big as our aim can be, that's how much power and capacity we will actually develop.
최약슈데 맞아 가르에서나 딘디기 시럽 상보 시럽디기 배주 땅와이나 강에 창물로 쇠바 제신이 제직 3된 검나 디니 치원다 거봐 창마 셀신이 안에 내가 가르치 레바이나 심 마슌바 심 탕마치바 아니 창말로라 니갑지 대화 중교유비지 가르쳐다 님바다 템바 아니 타르투 아니 심이 장지 에세바 문도 줘야지 아니 소남지 초다 예시지 초 용수 줘봐 아니 디 가르쳐다 근접 래 디간에 아니 nengazi 통그레스 뺨미시 아니 민주당 치고 차그러 봐. 또 자치고 디리도 와.
Narela. Nasana. So, in a sense, we could say the best case of using a spiritual path, a Dharma path or a spiritual path, is one that enables us to use our own insight to bear with the struggles of life, to bear with the problems and struggles that we face, to be truly patient with them. If we want to practice with our mind, if we want to rest, for example, in a unified state of one-pointed mind, we'll be able to clear away our own dullness and our own agitation if we want to sit and meditate. And any project that we're engaging in, any kind of work that we try to do, our mind will not become defeated, won't become discouraged, depressed, exhausted, burnt out. We won't experience any of those. Right? Instead, we'll have a lot of temporary happiness, power, and capacity. And in the end, the ultimate true nature of our minds, which is luminosity itself, will be rendered evident. So, gathering great merit, gathering great wisdom, we'll fully understand how the relative world functions. And so a person who can cultivate like that, I think, will be very successful. So I think it's important to reflect on that.
다 시럽표도 중원 인제표도 중원 줘야 돼. 남자 뺨미시 자신 버리스.
So the description of great wisdom and great compassion is a very vast topic.
되게 아니 가서 가지고다 동의기 짜와 매봐서 틈인데 아니 시럽표도 중원. 지 아니 가서지 당지 마르바 라이디 짜와니 매봐서야디 시럽표도 중원 되지. 아니 랑 진진 라이디 고 끄네 아니 녀크서 되니 아니 니갑 잠들이마도 동해 잔장마도 아니 대화 탈뚝지 니 마도니 랑 진진데 아니 바 칼로니 진 진진 라루 아니 닌지 표도 중화세나 다 잔죽이 셈바장부터 춘 뒤바이나 아니 따와 친지 말로봐 쪄바 친지 말로 디파 짬바이나 디지 자와디 아니 뒤숨다 내갑다 탈도 용수 쪼발라 셰샤 꾼라 아니 배주 땅 투비야지 님바다 템바지
Nasana. So basically, the aspect of wisdom or insight is the aspect that allows us to completely remove suffering, unhappiness from our own mind. It's the aspect that allows us to overcome this habit of concretizing the sense of self. Having concretized that, we tend to become self-centered and cherish that sense of self. That kind of cherishing only creates suffering after suffering for us. And it blocks our ability to relate with and experience sublime bliss, lasting bliss and happiness. And so transforming that self-cherishing into other cherishing, into a mind that cherishes others. If we can transform that, that is exceptional love and compassion. That is generative of wholesome mind states, of bodhicitta, this altruistic intention, of a kind and caring mind. And so, with that kind of view or understanding, that kind of conduct in the world, we can spread it in every direction, into every facet of our life. Practice it at all times and in every situation. And then the true power or capacity will show itself.
La so tuzu 다 뭐다 말하기 tuzu가 lessons.
So I think we're ran out of time here. Finished our time. So now it's time for some dedication and aspiration prayers.
심전 탐지 대지 용한다. 잠불는 멍주 목에 마용하지 창망하지 말람 접시. 맞죠 심디 님바치 모르겠어.
So we can dedicate virtue in our minds as making aspirations that peace and happiness spread into the minds of all beings in this world, and all of the struggle and conflict and warfare and suffering be cleared away. Our minds have tremendous power,
도이
isn't it?
다리디 도이 물음디 메도아 치절. melam sanini melam terosia kushuso chen genjura
Lasso. We don't have, I think, a prayer. Haven't gotten the prayer yet, but tomorrow we'll share that with you.
agedame gendo so Redanto Betsema me jang Nanje Tenje le me Chanju Simjo Rinpoche Moje Bana Jeju Jewa Nyamba Meba Kone Kondo Pemba Sho Toni Taba Rinpoche Moje Bana Jeju Jewa Nyamba Meba Kone Kondo Pemba Sho Joba Tsujin Rinpoche Maje Bana Jeju Jewa Nyamba Meba Kone Kondo Pemba Sho Jewa Gendo Nyanda Lama Dan Jemi Juje Bela Sada Lamji Yante Rabzon Doje Changi Kowan Yurdo Masam Jume Shirai Baroji Maji Manga Nandi Moy Soso Rangi Shiji Yuzu Javi Yomji Jashi Lasso, then does it debately river? Kateri?
When is the evening session? Dundan Chiga, Titring Gonda.
Choose
Dundan Chiga.
Dundan Chegala, then as a debately resha.
So, see you tonight at 7:30 for a question and answer session.